Remember when two-tier Keir Starmer assured us that policing and justice in the UK is fair? There's no persecution, he insisted, of any particular group of people and no special treatment of any others. All is equal. It's just a coincidence that courtrooms and police cells are cleared at warp speed for white working-class English folk who maybe sent an inappropriate X or Facebook post. Just a coincidence. But then the evidence keeps emerging that sadly and disturbingly that just isn't the case. I was horrified when I saw Peter Lloyd post on X, Muslim man assaults waitress in unprovoked attack. This happened in Nandos, Stratford yesterday. Over to you, Met Police. Now, upon researching what happened a bit further, I discovered that the incident didn't actually take place yesterday, but rather in March. It was in Stratford, though, in East London. So watch as this completely innocent Nando's waitress is assaulted by the customer as his apparent partner in a hijab watches on. Horrifying, right? A clear case of assault, you would think, and it is on video. After all, there for the world to see. So why did the Metropolitan Police do nothing? Especially when they're so obsessed with sending down social media users or angry pensioners who yelled at cops on a peaceful protest. So I was thinking about this. Now, maybe Nando's wanted to deal with the situation internally. But no. A spokesman for the chicken chain said this was a shocking and unprovoked attack earlier this year. We reported it to the police immediately and have supported our colleagues since. We will not tolerate this kind of behaviour. The safety of our colleagues and customers is our priority. So I was thinking, okay, maybe the waitress in question, maybe she didn't want to take it any further. But no. A woman called Zara, who found herself at the centre of this unlikely storm, posted on X, the police were present at the time. I reported it to them and they let him go without taking his details or checking the CCTV. I filed a complaint against the officers and their supervisor got back to me and essentially said, quote, they're humans and made a mistake. Wow. Wow. But Keir Starmer says two-tier policing doesn't exist, right? Unless the MSM gets interested and then they act. Because a Scotland Yard spokesman has had to admit this today. We are aware of a video circulating online showing an incident in a branch of Nando's in Stratford which took place in March. A report of assault was made to police at the time of the incident. However, it appears this was not progressed promptly by officers. We are working to establish why this happened and accept this is not the level of service Londoners should rightfully expect from the Met. We have since made contact with the victim and a statement has been taken. We will endeavour to keep her updated with the progress of this investigation. There has been no arrest and inquiries are ongoing to locate the man involved. And I'll tell you why there's been no arrest, because you didn't give a damn about this. In fact, you only give a damn about violent crime if it's something that the woke mob or the mainstream media are demanding you investigate. Instead, you waste so much time on spurious so-called thought crime and don't chase actual crime. Any Londoner knows that if you're mugged in the street like I have been, the Met will do absolutely nothing about it. Yet the loser mayor keeps playing these sorts of ridiculous games. London Mayor Sadiq Khan, I fear for my family's safety if Trump is re-elected. Well, Mr. Khan, we fear for our safety now. That young waitress was assaulted and your police force did nothing about this. And it's not just a London problem, by the way. This is happening all over the UK where lawlessness is running rampant. Look at Manchester. But as Lonnie Dowding posted, waiting for the Greater Manchester Police to brag about how fast they arrested him, how they expedited his sentencing and how he's going away for a long time. Oh wait, he didn't make an offensive post on Facebook. Scrap that. Keir Starmer, you are a joke. And Alex Armstrong, referring to the Nandos incident, said, two-tier British policing is a global laughingstock. Disgrace. And trust me, we really are being laughed at all around the world, not just in the US, where Elon Musk has led the charge on X, correctly branding the UK a police state, but now in Australia too, where my friend, the broadcaster Fred Paul, had a suggestion for two-tier care.
So, British authorities are locking up hundreds, if not thousands, of uppity working-class plebs for committing the heinous crime of wanting their country back from the hordes of violent migrants who now rule their streets and rape and pillage with impunity. The only problem is, those same authorities must now release thousands of actual criminals to make way for these new inmates because Britain's prisons are overcrowded. Well, where have you heard that before? Last time Britain's prisons were this overcrowded was in 1788, and the solution was this: the First Fleet, which took Britain's least desirable convicts as far away as possible to a barren continent on the other side of the world. Well, that fleet landed not far from where I'm standing now. And in the mere 236 years since then, those convicts and their descendants built this: one of the freest, happiest, most egalitarian and prosperous nations in history. So, my message to British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is this: mate, don't bother rearranging your prisons to make way for these uppity plebs. Stick them on some boats and send them to Australia instead. Last time the British did that, things didn't turn out too badly at all.
And I'm sure if that did become the policy again, there'd be quite a few people posting inappropriate messages on Facebook and X. Look, the UK, and I hate to say this, given it's my home, but it deserves to be a laughingstock at the moment. Until this two-tier policing is stamped out, the world will continue to call it out. To discuss this further, though, let me introduce today's superstar panel. And he's back. Charlie Sansom is the ambassador for the Together Declaration and host of X Uncensored, Sundays from 7 p.m. on X. And joining me to make his Outspoken debut, Andrew Eborn, the barrister, broadcaster and futurist who now hosts TNT's flagship morning programme, The Muckrakers. And I guess you could say we are muckrakers today, the three of us. But Charlie, can you believe that this went on in a Nando's restaurant? The police were there, yet did nothing. But our leaders say that two-tier policing doesn't exist.
Well, we know that it does, don't we? Honestly, you have to look at this objectively and take into account the one thing that I hate to bring up, and I really don't like to bring this up, but there's a race element to this. And it's something that you can't say anymore because, you know, the brick of highlighting that you are yourself a racist for noticing these trends in the way we're governed and policed. But at the end of the day, if that was a white man who did that to a waitress in a Nando's, do you think the police would have nicked him? I think they would have done. No problem.
Andrew, what do you reckon?
I'll tell you what I reckon. I always say that trust comes in on foot and leaves on horseback. And the reality is trust in the police at the moment is at an all-time low. The United Kingdom were anything but united. It's the most divided, diseased information age that we're living in. And you see this footage, and you're right. Why did it take so long to come about? We talked about Manchester fairly recently, you know, the airport incident there back in July. And it was drip-fed to the media, if you like, and what happened. And eventually we got a bigger picture as more and more of the video got released. I wonder if there's any more to this video, but still, when you look at it in isolation, it's absolutely appalling. And it's harrowing hearing that this particular victim asked for this to be investigated, wanted things to get happened, and we got no trust at all in it. It seems to me it's absolutely appalling and something should be done.
Yeah, indeed. And what's so problematic, Charlie, is that we know that this happens every single day. Violent crime is ignored. And I guess it's become so easy for the police, hasn't it, to investigate a post on X or a post on Facebook. It was probably music to their ears when Starmer started demanding that they take action against the working class folk who posted something a little bit spicy after the Southport massacre. That's easy. Cracking down on violent crime is tough.
The police have actually gone around to arrest actual rioters who probably were being quite violent when these things were happening a couple of weeks ago. But in the moment, they're not actually doing that. And after the fact, again, it's a bit like searching the internet for tweets. It's very easy to go knock on somebody's door when they're not mob-handed, as it is to look at a tweet and say, well, you've criticised the establishment, or you've made a comment about the unfair police treatment of the indigenous population here. You are correct. It is easy for them to do, and it's appalling that they're policing us in this way. There shouldn't be any favoritism. Crime is crime. If you've broken the law, it shouldn't matter what you believe in or where you come from or what colour your skin is. It wouldn't work the other way around. And I'm not trying to make this into a race debate, but I want equality across the whole of our United Kingdom. If you're black, if you're white, if you're brown, yellow, pink, green or blue, if you commit a crime, you should be arrested and dealt with. It's not that difficult.
I mean, I was so shocked by this Daily Telegraph headline, Andrew Eborn, that says, career criminals walk free in soft justice scandal. Offenders with more than 100 convictions now get a slap on the wrist instead of jail time. But we see Julie Sweeney, the pensioner, grandmother, who looks after full-time her very ill husband, in jail for 15 months because of an inappropriate post, and it was inappropriate. And I'm not trying to say that it was not inappropriate, but 15 months in jail for that, Andrew, when violent criminals are not even investigated.
It's completely crazy. And you talk about being a laughing stock around the world.
Yeah.
Well, Elon Musk has talked, and he's basically talked about Keir Starmer. Well, I had the joy, and it was a joy, of talking to Elon's father today, Errol. I interviewed him on
How
my
was
program.
that?
It was brilliant. So revelations about Elon growing up. I mentioned it was basically Aristotle said, give me a child to the age of 7, I'll show you the man. Some fascinating insights into Elon. But we talked about this two-tier Keir. And you remember the spat that Elon had with Sir Keir Starmer and the sort of slanging match. And what he was saying was true. You know, we look at this from around the world. You see this two-tier system where, as you say, people speaking out get swift justice and put into jail very, very quickly, whereas the big convicted criminals and long-standing criminals get wandering free. And it's got to be wrong. And as I say, justice needs to be done and also seen to be done. And justice is blind. And what that means, it doesn't matter what colour, creed, I'm not sure about blue, Charlie, but whatever sort of colour and creed you may be,
Smurfs.
it should be irrelevant.
Smurfs should be treated the same as us. Absolutely.
Yeah.
First, what's so important about being independent is that I only tell you about products that I personally use. One of them is Verso. I've entered my 40s. The importance of staying healthy as I age has become really critical to me. So I've done a few things, actually. I'm doing the 16-8 fasts, exercising most days. But I've learned that will only get me so far. Scientists like David Sinclair have proven that we can now reverse aging with interventions that go beyond healthy habits. So for me, I was looking for a product that would enhance everything I was already doing, but also one that was backed up by solid evidence. So that's why I use Verso's Cell Being product. It's really brilliant, actually. It has scientifically proven ingredients that fight the effects of aging by increasing NAD+ levels that power every cell in your body. For me, I take it at the start of every day. I've used it for a number of months. It's made fasting a lot easier. I've lost fat. I'm eating less too. And a lot of that is down to its blood sugar regulating effects, which lead to fewer cravings. I'm even sleeping better, actually. So I really recommend Verso, and I'd love you to experience the same thing. Remember, it publishes third-party testing from each batch produced to guarantee you are getting what you paid for. And I'm delighted to say that because Verso was my first ever sponsor on Outspoken. Please do support them as a result. Today, if you go to buy.ver.so/outspoken, you will save 15% on your first order. You just have to remember to use the coupon code Outspoken when you check out. The website address, I've put it in our YouTube and Rumble description, but I will repeat it now. buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code Outspoken. And look, of course, the story that is completely connected to this, even though the mainstream media want to treat them as two separate issues, are the shocking migration figures revealed today. Over 1 million visas granted in the UK over the past year. Record numbers of asylum seekers granted refugee status. Figures show 67,978 claims were granted in the year to June. That's more than 21,436 in the previous year. The brilliant journalist Patrick O'Flynn wrote on X about this. In the year to June 2024, the UK granted to foreign arrivals 547,000 work visas, 530,000 study visas, 84,000 family visas, another 1.16 million new long-term visas in a single year. Also, 813,000 extensions of stay to those already here with soon to expire authority, all under the Sunak administration. And as Darren Grimes, commenting on this, wrote, they arrive illegally from Afghanistan and Syria and all of the rest of it, and we just grant them asylum, refusing to countenance deporting them and upsetting the international apple cart. We are a joke, and it's killing us. The sooner our political class is replaced, the better. Charlie, your reaction to these astonishing numbers, and I mean astonishing for all the
Yeah, they are
reasons.
huge numbers. I'd love to know how many of those 547,000 work visas were for high quality jobs and not just delivering food and cleaning. And I'm not having any shade put on those people that do those jobs. It's just in a country where we don't have sustainable housing, a benefit system which is super expensive, and the obvious things that we talk about like the NHS and schools and roads, etc., all crumbling around us. How is any of this sustainable? Even more astounding is the fact that you've actually got illegal immigrants coming here being granted stay. Where are they being put? I mean, if you and I and Andrew were made homeless tomorrow, God forbid, would we be put in 5-star hotels? Would we be given mobile phones and daily allowances and free dental care? I mean, most people can't even get to see a dentist these days. Yet you come here illegally and you get all these things. It's on the government's website. So there is a problem here. Darren Grimes mentioning we need to get rid of the political class. Unless you get rid of Labour and the Conservatives both, you're never going to get rid of them.
Well, I want to talk about Reform UK in just a moment, actually, because I think they are potentially the solution to this problem. But Andrew, can we just talk about these numbers first?
Yes.
This is a flood. It is a flood. And before anyone says anything about me, I have a British passport. I've had a British passport since birth. My parents are British. So I am not one of these immigrants. But it's not to say there shouldn't be highly skilled people let in, but we cannot handle this flood, Andrew, and that is what it is.
You're absolutely right, Dan. And I always say that sunlight is the best disinfectant. What we need to do is to break down those figures, because the brilliantly talented people, such as yourself, and you're getting on being brilliantly talented anyway, you work on that sort of basis. We need to break those figures down. Why are people coming over here? What are the sort of bases? Because what happens, they conflate the issue. They talk about small boats, which is an absolute appalling mess. And there's also a different side to it, because if you see this brilliant movie called Io Capitano, and I would recommend everyone sees that, you'll see just how devastating it is for some of the people coming over, and how that they're abused. They basically have to save up forever from their village in the promise of a wonderful life. And as they go through their journey, they're basically bribed more, so the family have to send more money. And if they don't do it, they're tortured. Some are get sold for organ donations, can you believe it? So murdered along the way. And it's a very different perspective. But the reality is this: there's sometimes we need skilled skilled labourers and skilled people in different industries. We need to break down those figures and have a look at that. But it's all about communication. And so often these problems are not being properly communicated. If you say we need these number of people for this, people understand that. If you conflate the figures, then people don't. And it's front and centre of the election we've just had. Everybody's talking about immigration.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.